Hey everybody, it's Chris with the Loth-Wolf Pack. Welcome back to some Star Wars Destiny Top 10. We are back with Empire at War after a little hiatus over the holidays. But we have the Brothers Dim, Casey and Levi with us as before. Casey, how you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks, man. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Talk about this Empire at War.
Should be a little bit easier than Spirit of Rebellion
We'll
from
see.
our pre-show discussion here, but let's not jinx it too early. But Levi, how are you, sir?
I'm great, man. It's good to see y'all. I feel like we did our last one at the beginning of the pandemic, but that can't be right.
It feels so long ago.
Wasn't it like September, October or something?
I don't know. What is time?
It's probably around there, October, November, maybe.
I think maybe November, because we were talking about trying to squeeze the next one in before
the
Christmas,
holidays.
and then it just didn't happen.
So it's everyone watching. Sorry for the delay, but we made it.
Yeah.
We're back. So according to the internet, Empire at War was released on September 17th. No, I'm sorry, September 14th. Can anyone guess the year?
18? No, don't. That's
2017.
It's going to be 17 or 17.
2017, yeah. September 14th.
One of those.
2017. And the little blurb on the Wikipedia says Star Wars or characters from Star Wars Rebels finally appeared, including powerhouse Sabine Wren. So that is the one sentence description on the Wikipedia. So
it sells the game itself.
How could you not go buy a case right now after that?
I don't know. I think it's dripping with subtext. If you thought about leaving this game, you might.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Sabine's going to maybe do it to you,
So if you're new to the top 10, just kind of how this works, Casey, Levi, and myself, we all have our own individual top 10s. We didn't discuss any of this information previously, and then we kind of just go down and discuss them. If there is a card that is on someone's list that is mentioned higher on somebody else's list, we just skip it at that moment and talk about it later. So, for example, if my number 10 happened to be Casey's number 5, I'll skip my number 10, then we'll get to that later on down the road. So it's not exactly 30 cards, but, could be, I suppose. But I'm going to start out with my number 10 here. So my number 10 is a big blue legendary upgrade. It's called Master of the Council. Obviously, Mace Windu on there with the pensive, hands clasp look. Is a big 4-coster upgrade title, and it is unique. The sides are +3 melee, +4 melee, 2 shields, 2 resources, special, so no blanks on this bad boy. And then the special says, exhaust this upgrade and spend 2 resources to ready a character. And it's also blue character only, I should have mentioned. But I don't know why. I feel like this card, when Empire first came out, didn't really see play just because of the 4 cost. Kind of hard to get down until later in the game. But when a couple sets later, when Way of the Force came out and they introduced the plot Built to Last, this kind of when I started to mess around with this card. And it works a lot better in that style of deck because even if one character dies, you can redeploy it over to maybe get some value. But so I just thought it was a really cool card. And I have some fond memories of trying to make it work in Blue Hero. But as far as competitive wise, I don't really, you guys would probably know this better than me, but I don't really recall this being anything significant, so.
Yeah, when it first came out, I think you kind of alluded to it. There was no way to keep a blue hero alive long enough to get value out of it. It was so expensive, and that guy was going to die. There was no getting around it. So I think that it just was, there wasn't any support for it at the time.
Yeah, I would agree. And Built to Last, it just makes it so easy because it doesn't matter who you play it on. It's going to stick around for the rest of the game. So that kind of changes the whole dynamic of this card. But I do remember a few times when I got off that special. And when you have a character suited up with 3 upgrades plus this died, you can do it. That's pretty serious round. So yeah, it is fun to do. But
I think Levi and I played this once together and recorded a video of it, I think, way back. And I forgot to do the exhaust this card part. So it kind of infinited out. Just standing him back up. This card's busted. Why isn't this card everywhere? Oh,
once per round.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guy on TTS did not call foul.
Yeah, he
was
did.
like,
We were just like doop 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 doop.
Oh, you like to do it?
I felt bad. I still feel bad about that.
That's funny. Yeah,
This
his
is
fault
sort
for
of-
not catching it.
this is a prelude, I think, to cards like Admiral and certainly like a cool introduction into the design space of titles.
Mm-hmm.
I think Crime Lord's the other title up to this point. I could be wrong about that.
Sounds right. Yeah.
There were probably I think there were a couple other tiny ones, but those are the big daddy ones.
Yeah, it's a cool card.
Yeah, love it. Cool card. All right. Who wants to go next? Doesn't matter. Levi, what do you got?
Sure. My number 10 is, let me just pull it up here. I'm actually not prepared because it's not on my computer. Oh my God.
Oh, a lot of pressure here.
I know. All right, here we go.
Someone else's number one, right?
Oh yeah, it isn't someone else's number one. I'm sorry. My number 10 is someone else's number one, so pass.
Pass. Spoiler alert. Casey, what do you got for number 10?
All right. I have Double Cross, which is a yellow hero event. Remove one of your yellow character dice to remove an opponent's die as if it were your own, and it costs $2.
Oh, you said remove twice. So
To resolve an opponent's die.
Yeah.
Remove one of your yellow character die to resolve an opponent's die as if it were your own. Sorry. Yeah, and this one was like just a really fun like revenge, or what was that other yellow card I like so much that reversal.
Yeah.
So it was like that. I mean, I had to remove a die, but in the most of the time, I would have something I was willing to lose to do removal and resolve someone else's die for money or damage or whatever I needed. And it was like, I loved it. It was just like one of those little surprise cards that I just enjoy about the game.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool card. It's kind of funny you have this card, and then like you were mentioning with the other picks previously of like decisive blow style, reversal style, kind of a similar idea.
I have a theme.
Yeah. And of course you got Lando swindling on there, which is always
Honest Adapad or whatever. Yeah, just fun.
I think it's still fair too. It's kind of submitting that a die is worth one resource if you're like equating it with a reversal.
Sure.
Which makes sense. And reversal was out at this time, so you could go ham on just resolving and force throw. So you could go ham on resolving your opponent's dice here. Oh, and deflect. Good Lord.
Oh, geez, yeah. Hey, I know this is a 2-coster, but did you guys play this in your DJ deck at all?
No.
Yeah.
We just couldn't afford to bring anything. We had Chance Cube and...
it's actually a hero card. I'm sorry. So...
Yeah, it wouldn't work anyway.
That stops it right there. So I just figured it was a... Whenever you see Lando with like the swerve look on his face, I just think it's a villain card for some reason.
It should be neutral at least, right?
That's true. Yeah, cool card.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
All right, number 10. Let's move on to what's after 10, number 9. Levi, what do you got for number 9?
My number 9 is... I don't think is it on y'all's lists at all? No, I don't think so.
I don't think so, yeah.
Yellow villain card, 0 cost. It is called Buyout. We know what this card is. It says spend any number of resources, then discard cards from the top of the opponent's deck equal to the number of resources you just spent. So yeah, before we started recording, we're all trying to figure out if this card was ever errated. And I have like a memory of it being errated, but maybe that's just like my, the moralist in me, because this is,
should have been maybe.
It's messed up, right? It was messed up then. It'd be way more messed up now because money is like a lot easier to come by all around. But yeah, it's saying that a card is worth $1, a dice is worth $1. And it was a lot of ways to make money in villain yellow and villain red. So this paired really nice with Jabba and Unkar obviously, and obviously Big Bad Thrawn and Unkar.
Right. Yeah, I mean, gosh, I'd seen this hit for 12, 13 cards at a time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy to have that.
Buy cards.
Yeah. I mean, you take away half someone's deck health.
It's so degenerate. It's so bad.
You're talking about an errata. I feel like it should have had a cap or something like that. But they errated Thrawn and
they errated Imperial Inspection, Thrawn. They priced Unkar differently eventually.
That's right. And then it just kind of pushed this card out.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of devastating. If you saw like the money racking up on the other side, there was nothing you could do to deal with it, and you knew it was coming. like okay, yeah, it would hurt.
Yeah, like we were talking about, it just feels like they did something to this card. I kind of feel the same way, but I think maybe, Casey, you're right, where it was just the point bump to Unkar just basically stopped the deck from existing, so that's why it wasn't there anymore. Not so much they changed the card, but maybe there was just so much talk about it to where maybe, the water cooler talk in the community was like they should cap it at like 5 cards or something.
Yeah. I think there was that, and I'm having like, if I remember, it was really hard to find room in your deck that would include a card like buyout. There's so many options. So this one felt like not optimal. I don't know how that's possible, but I think it did.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is expensive. I think that what you're saying is that you have $30 to get rid of someone else's deck. That's a lot. I mean, not that it would ever get to that point, but it was just it was such a big swing. It was going to be a mid to late game move, probably late game and, game ending move. And it always hurt. I mean, even losing 5 or 6 cards with it was, devastating.
Yeah.
I never liked losing the mill.
Yeah, same.
Never liked it.
It is a cool card, though. I think it would have been just a lot safer of an idea if they would have just capped it from the beginning, because I think that's a fine card. Then if you can do it for 5, I mean, that's not broken in any sort of way, I wouldn't think,
Well, No Answer does 4 cards for 1.
For 1. Yeah, so 5 for 5. Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah. But it's right. I mean, I guess it's the monster you make. Like, how much money are you willing to spend, right? So,
right. Cool card. The old buyout with Unkar Plut, the junk dealer, on the card. Being a guy. Casey, what do you got for number 9?
My number 9 is a neutral red event. It's Faint. 1 costed. Activate one of your characters. Then you may remove all of its character and upgrade die to ready it. And so, again, not a card that got a lot of play or really necessarily changed the game so much, but it sure was fun to do. And, we'll talk about, obviously who this card was made for coming up. But it paired with future characters too, like Kylo and when he was with Price and stuff like that made it a lot more interesting, for having Kylo come out and hit for 2 and then do it again. Was nice. I liked the reset quality of it. Like for $1, you roll out, see what you got going on. Maybe your action. Maybe it's just neat. I just like the idea of saying, I didn't like that, I'm going to pull back. But really, it was to use the action of the character. It's just neat. Stupid little weird card.
Yeah, I agree. It's also interesting to your point of you don't have to do it. If you don't want to.
Yeah.
So like you said, if you roll the nuts, you can just be like, oh, you know what? Maybe I'm not going to do it.
Right.
But we all know the preciousness of resources in this game, especially at that time. So maybe it was a feel bad if you didn't do it, but it is a pretty versatile card in that sense. To get a free reroll on everything, especially if you had the value on an activation trigger to go on top of that.
For sure.
But yeah, cool card. Like you were saying, I can't really recall this being played too much outside of those characters you already mentioned, top of my head. So
yeah,
but
it's
cool
just neat space of the game that they never played with again.
I agree.
Probably a good thing.
Yeah. My number 9 is a little character who I think kind of I don't want to say changed the way we thought about deck building because these kind of decks already existed probably to some extent, but this kind of really opened the door for 3 wide support decks, and that is the Rookie Pilot, at least from the hero side. So 7 health, 7-pointer character. Die sides are +2 gun, +2 gun. shield resource, and then 2 blanks. And he also has an ability that says after you activate this character, you may re-roll one of your vehicle dice. So, top of my head, no, obviously 7 points fits into the vehicle theme. So they added some vehicles in Empire War. So I just always liked this character. He was pretty cool. And when Yoda came out, they did there was like a Yoda, Ezra, Rookie Pilot, Rainbow, 3-wide support deck. And, like I said, until that time, that sort of thing, I guess, wasn't super common. We were just still more in that mode of, 2v2 heads up, slam down the upgrades kind of thing. So I always just liked him. I thought it was a cool ability. And think about this, Casey. If you fainted your Rookie Pilot, you're going to be... That's how you really win games.
Value.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all. Similar to your cards, nothing crazy, nothing super innovative. But, we've, over the course of time, the Destiny community and us included, when you see a super low-costed character, you kind of take a second look and really think about the possibilities there, as we went through the history of the game.
I think that's right. I think this guy, I did not mess with this dude, but I was definitely sat across from him. I feel like this was like kind of an introduction, as you said, Chris, like Rainbow Hero. I'm not sure if that a 3-wide hero deck was like, certainly there wasn't a 3-wide like support deck that was out there.
Right. Yeah, top of my head, I wouldn't think, not in just Awakenings and Spirit that I could think of. I could be wrong, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, I can't think of any 3-character hero, deck in general back then. There were a couple. But, yeah.
There was like Rey Padawans, right? That was strong.
Oh, sure, yeah. Good call.
Rey just was such a cheater.
Yeah. But it's funny. The flavor text says the first time in the cockpit was always thrilling. ... Even if it was the last. So he has a good time, but he's also going down at the same time. But
what's that from? What is that from his book? Like, what is that?
Yeah, that was the genius of Fantasy Flight Games writing right there.
Nice.
So Rookie Pilot. All right, moving on to number 8, the Ocho. All right, Casey, let's start with you. What's your number 8?
My number 8 is a red hero character, HERA, SYNDULLA, the Phoenix leader. She is got 10 health. She costs 9 or 12. She has a gun, focus. That's what that is. A shield, $1, a special, and a blank. She was eroded, and I believe it was cost. She got balanced, and then but her special was play a vehicle from your hand for free. After the action phase ends, if that vehicle is still in play, return it to your hand. So this was super fun. And you were talking about like support decks with Red Hero and I'd bring her in for 9 points and, just try to have her back there, maybe focus into her special, get a, big card out, like a Falcon or, there was the Ghost. I don't think was the Ghost out at the time.
U-Wing, right?
Yeah, U-Wing was a big one. And, get it out, let it do some damage and then, have it come back into your card. I also loved this for that quad jumper. Loved it because I would play the quad jumper for free, roll it out, resolve it, hopefully get some money, and then override it. And so I was getting this really cheap permanent card with Hera's special helping me get there. And I just that was a niche combo that you had to kind of the stars had to align to make that happen. But her dice were getting removed any chance that they could. And hopefully you had other things out that were more dangerous that protected that or made them pay for it. But really fun to bring in for $9 or 9 points.
To your point about the Ghost, there was a Ghost that they released in Empire War. It was a 4-coster. I had to look it up, but
yeah,
and it was just bringing in big guns for a round.
It's definitely a cool special, that's for sure. That's really cool.
Yeah, it'd be cool if it'd be interesting. I don't know if cool's the right word. It'd be interesting if this version of HERA overlapped with Desperate Measures and that decision point for like the opponent to, basically they can't blow that ship up because it's going away anyway. It'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, that's interesting. like if you brought something out and it rolled the nuts,
You're like, I guess I'll blow myself up. I'll take the damage. I guess maybe it isn't that much of a decision point.
She also has 10 health. 10 health for 9 points is, I guess, a little bit above the curve normally. I feel like.
Yeah.
Sometimes 9-pointers are in the single digits of health.
Yeah, she was great.
Yeah, like her too. Very cool. The Phoenix leader.
Yep.
All right, my number 9 is a blue hero card, which kind of really gave them a little bit of economy help that they were looking for with all their expensive upgrades and only really having it binds all things in this sort of realm of cards, and that is called Reaping the Crystal, a 0-cost event, and it's pretty simple. It says, play a blue card that costs 3 or more from your hand, decreasing its cost by 1. So essentially, it's a weird sort of like 0-cost gain a resource card in kind of a backwards or roundabout way, because you have to have the upgrade in your hand as well. But with all like I mentioned with blue hero having a lot of big 3-cost lightsabers and such, having a card in your hand that makes those cost 2 was I think, in my opinion, was at the time well worth that card. Using a card to do so. So I thought it was a really cool card. And when you had this in, in tandem with a round 1, it binds all things. Obviously, that's a great turn. So,
yeah, for sure. It's your card for $1. It's a perfectly costed, fair card. Takes up space, but get that upgrade out a little sooner.
Yeah, it's a great pick.
Yeah, so I think after this one, they had Blue Hero had It Binds All Things, and then they had the card called Destiny, and then they had this one. So they actually had a decent amount of ways to get stuff out, but I think Destiny, you had to remove dice, I think, and then you something like that. So a lot of interesting, cost reduction stuff, but I just thought it was always a cool card. So number 8. All right, let's move on to number 7.
Levi's got a number 8.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jeez. Levi, what's your number 8? I'm sorry. I'm getting jumped.
No, I don't. I don't have a number 8. My number 8 is higher on somebody else's list because y'all two overrate substandard cards.
All right, well, we'll see what that one is a little bit later, I guess. All right, on to number 7. All right, number 7. My number 7 is a red hero support that also gave some legs to the hero support deck that we were kind of talking about earlier with Rookie Pilot, and that is called Rally Aid. It is a 1-cost red support, as I mentioned. Action: exhaust this support to reveal a random card in your hand. You may play that card, decreasing its cost by 1, or by 2 instead if it's a vehicle. So when you had 2 tech teams and 2 rally aids in this deck, I feel like this card, it was really fun to figure out. Eventually we all figured out the sequencing of wait till the end, and you only have 1 card left, or you have 2 vehicles in your hand to guarantee the discount. So, but really strong card. And when you were sitting across from the slow deck and you just saw that rally aid out there, you're like, oh man,
right?
They're gonna get some value off that for sure. So,
right. But
interesting design, and I like how the card, like I said, made you think about how you're going to sequence out your round to get there. But
I totally forgot in my mind my entire life. I thought this thing was just for vehicles. I didn't know it was like play a card and decrease its cost. You know what I mean? Like so it's applicable for whatever. Of course you want it to be a vehicle because of extra, cost reduction, but. I don't know how I just didn't know that.
You did. It just you never really played those decks,
I don't think I've ever played Rally Aid in my life.
I believe that's probably true.
Yeah. I guess too, just because the way that you've always seen it played, you're just conditioned to think it's only for vehicles, because it's the only way you've ever seen someone use it for the most part. But I'm guessing there had to be someone out there who's definitely got some value on I'm gonna easy pickings for 0 or something because
it happened all the time. You're right. I think sequencing is the key word here, right? Like you really want to wait, and then when that gets put down, your opponent's strategy is like, okay, I got to start plucking cards because, he's going to get something out cheap and stuff. But Again, great card, super fun. It's hard to devote 4 cards to resource generation in a deck like that, but yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't think I'll play it, actually.
You know, you
It
say
says
that.
you may play it, right?
You say that it's
Yeah.
hard to devote that many cards to resource, but like, look at all of our top 10s
Yeah.
and count how many of those cards are about money.
It's fair. That's a
It's
good
3 or
point.
4
Mhm.
for each of us.
Right.
It's probably true.
But it's like, I think it's like one of those ones. It's like, it's on the edge. It's on the edge to get cut. And it's one of those first cards, I think, when you start trimming your deck, you're like, okay, I'm going to have my 2 tech teams. And that's going to do the lion's share of the work I need here. Am I really going to devote 2 more to a chance pool that I have to wait for? It was sometimes hard to talk yourself into bringing it, but it sure was a cool card. That's for sure.
I hear you.
Yeah.
All right, Levi, what's your number 7?
My number 7 is higher on somebody else's list.
Back to
Oh,
back,
it
back to
is.
back skips, huh?
Keeps happening.
No problem.
Must be a sign.
Yeah.
All right, well, in that case, Casey, what do you got? Number 7.
My number 7 is a character named Seventh Sister. How appropriate.
Wow.
I
It's like you
totally-
planned that or something.
Oh my God.
Yes, I picked Seventh Sister, a blue villain. She costs 11/14, 10 health. 1 stick, 2 stick, a disrupt, a shield, and $1 and a blank. She got errated too. She got balanced. They raised her cost up. But after you activate this character, you may roll an ID9 Seeker Droid, which is another super
faint
cool
application.
Yeah, into your pool. That is true, Levi. A great faint application. Its X value is equal to the number of droids in your pool, and then set aside that die after it's resolved or removed. And I feel like we just have to quickly talk about that ID9 because it's an integral part of her deck. Like, she brought him to the table. So the ID9 is a 2-costed upgrade that has X's in front of all its symbols. You got sticks, focus, disrupt, discard, shield, and blank. And the X on the die is equal to the number of ID9 Seeker Droid dice in your pool. When resolving dice, resolve them 1 at a time. So what that allowed her to do was roll out with 3 die. She was a 3-die start at an elite, and she would hunt for those other ID9s that she had. And so she would get 3 of them out pretty regularly. You'd have 3, she'd be rolling 5 die on her own. And all of a sudden, those little die really started to matter, especially when they were hitting focuses. Gosh, if one of them's hitting a focus, you're sitting there just decisions on how to play with her. And obviously she ramped up really good with some other crazy good characters. What was that deck called? I've lost my mind all of a sudden. The
OTK.
Yeah, exactly. OTK. It was her, and it was because of these damn little droids.
Yeah.
Shout out to Hyperloops, right?
Yeah, right. And Steve, our buddy Steve, played it really well. He was very good OTK player, and for us, I think Levi, you and I, when we played, we would kind of shy away from what we kind of maybe considered to be negative play experiences. Like, we love DJ, right? But we knew what we were doing, and we would
DJ
sit
came
down.
in. Yeah.
Right. But we'd sit down and be like, hey, I'm sorry for what's about to happen here. But the Seventh Sister was a little different than that OTK stuff. And you'd sit it down from it and you're like, okay, I'm on a serious clock, and I've got to take her out. And it was just so fun. So neat.
I ran
She's a cool
her
character.
at my first regionals with Tarkin.
Oh, yeah. Because those droids are awesome with Tarkin.
Exactly. Droids were awesome. And that was just a fun little deck. I got completely hammered because you just racked because I tried to be, cute and tried to do like I think a No Mercy deck. Like, surprise, it's a No Mercy deck. It's all blue. But that I just kept getting absolutely murdered.
Well, I'm glad, Casey, I'm glad you mentioned Steve, one of our local players, because as you mentioned, he was, notorious for playing. I don't mean that in a negative context, but he was notorious for playing, the OTK combo style price of failure reset deck, and like you said, he was a master of that deck.
He really was.
It was insane. It was always fun to watch him, even when you're the one sitting there taking 30 damage in one turn. But it was like Seven Sister, Night Sister, and someone else. It was a 3-wide. I forget the exact period he
Those are
ran, but
red, I think.
yeah, I forget top of my head, but
it didn't matter because they weren't important.
it could have been FN maybe, to be honest.
FN or a trooper, I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, he was the master of that Zach, and I feel like Seven Sister also needs to be mentioned in the once Legacies came out. You know, like the hero like aggro deck was Boba Fett, Seven Sister. You know, coming out really hot with the just 2 high value characters. But yeah, great pick, Seven Sister, and as we all know from watching Rebels, she's got those little droids scurrying around all over the place. So,
and I just want to say there was nothing inherently or intrinsically like unethical about her design. I think like she's a pretty fair character. Price point's good, and it's kind of a shame she had to get balanced because by herself she's not doing anything wrong. You know, it's her friends.
Yeah, it is the friends. I agree.
Yeah, I think any character that that can get 6 die out is, got a leg up, right?
Sure.
But she was always a target. It was hard to keep her. 10 isn't that much health really, and but yeah, she was fun. She was a fun character.
Ooh.
Yeah, good pick. I'm glad you highlighted her here because I don't think
legendary, right? Isn't that right?
Yeah, legendary. Yep. Very cool. 7th Sister, the Agile Inquisitor.
That's right.
Let's move on to number 6. Moving on to number 6. Levi, what do you got for numero 6?
My number 6 is higher. It's a character. It's higher on somebody else's list.
Not mine this time.
Yeah.
No, but that's totally fair.
Man, 3 in a row. This might be the highest streak we've ever had with you. Yeah.
It's a pass.
Yeah,
it's a pass.
All right, well, Casey, what do you got? Number 6.
All right, so mine, Levi, you had is what, number 8? Is that right?
Yeah.
So mine is a 2-costed neutral upgrade weapon. It's the SHOTO lightsaber. It has, pardon me, a 1 stick, a +1 stick, a +2 stick, shield, $1 and a blank. And then after you activate attached character, if it has another blue weapon, you may give it a shield or remove a shield from the character. And yeah, this thing is great. There's really nothing bad about this upgrade. I mean, it has 2 blue sides. That's the worst thing about it. But to get its value, you're rocking another blue upgrade out, another blue weapon, plus the character's weapon. So there should be a black on one of those other 3 die. And gosh, the tankiness that this allowed for, as well as the removal of shields on the other side, if that's what you needed to do. And but man, I mean, with 2 of these, you're putting 2 shields on your character at activation. It's really good. There were a lot of redeployables at the 2 price point for a lot of other factions, but it didn't matter. This one gave you 10 extra hit points easy throughout the game.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Eli,
that's nuts.
You said this was your number 8. I hope I didn't take all your thunder on that.
No. You said everything I would have said, except that if they had to get rid of this thing had to be cycled out, because if it were still around today, it would still be a staple. It's still probably
in every blue deck
the best, other than Ancient Lightsaber, the best 2-costed lightsaber. I think I could be wrong about that, but I think they're probably grateful that it cycled out because it opened up a design space again. Because you kind of have to you got to pack these in there, right? Because of, like you said, how much extra health it is. How do you not take 2 SHOTOs no matter what?
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, if you have a 2-costed upgrade and you compare it to this, it's generally going to be found wanting.
Think of what this looks like next to Jedi lightsaber, right? Wherein you play that, you get 2 shields one time.
Mm-hmm. Right, one time. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to have, this has to be your second upgrade to really get this to go, but that's 2 turns away. If you have this in round 1 and then another one in round 2, your engine's on.
Yeah. And its sides are no joke. I mean, I'm happy with those sides for $2. So.
Yeah.
Right.
Great card that obviously, being neutral, probably saw play in Seven Sister as well. So.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a blue staple. I think you're right, Levi. I think it was truly in any blue stick deck. Like I can't, it's like Ancient Lightsaber. It's in everything.
Yeah.
And you're a damn fool if you don't take it.
Exactly.
Yeah, great pick and awesome art on that card with Ahsoka looking crazy there.
Yeah.
But yeah, SHOTO lightsaber. It'd be a shame not to mention it. So Levi actually got to talk for once as well about a card he picked. So that doesn't hurt. That doesn't hurt the podcast either. My number 6. As usual, I wanted to put a Battlefield on here. So I tried to pick this one. I feel like was probably top of my head. There were a few in Empire War actually, but this one had a pretty high impact in the competitive scene. And that is Weapons Factory Alpha, which is on the planet, or maybe not a planet. Simoon 1? Is that like a factory or something? I have no idea.
Sure.
It is called Weapons Factory Alpha, after all. But it is a neutral battlefield, and it says, while you control this battlefield, the cost of the first vehicle you play each round is decreased by 1. So, I easily could be wrong about this, but top of my head, I don't think this was really relevant in Empire at War specifically. Maybe a couple sets later when we had the TIE Swarm come out.
I don't know. I don't know. I think it was.
Yeah, you think so? I don't really remember, but I just remember
even Rally being a part of that cycle. It was.
Oh, sure. I just remember, once Legacies came out, and I just feel like this battlefield was all over the place in in certain builds of Thrawn Snoke that were playing heavily on the TIE fighters, and it was basically the battlefield of choice. There might have been one other one, top of my head, I can't remember, but I just wanted to give a shout out to the Weapons Factory Alpha. Obviously, if you have a 3-cost vehicle in your opening hand and you have the battlefield round 1, you're getting that out no matter what. So, pretty cool card.
For sure. Like, I think what you might be misremembering there is that a lot of 3-wide support decks don't win battlefield. And if I'm playing against this, I am not giving it to you.
True.
And so I don't think it hit the table as much. And then later on, when Thrawn and Unkar are rolling 2 sides, they're rolling 8 on their battlefield roll, they're taking it.
True.
I think that's what the difference was, but it was out there.
That's a good point. For sure. Yeah.
You rocked this thing with Thrawn Snoke?
At the time because later on in the evolution of that deck, I think it became more support heavy eventually. And in, like I said, the TIE Fighter era, like some people chose to play TIE Fighters, or some people chose to play Planetary Bombardment, the big guys. So there were a couple different angles to go about that, but I remember it being out there, but easily, like I said, can easily misremember things at this point in the Destiny history.
A long time ago. It was 3 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. I can't remember what I did yesterday, so I'm having trouble here. But.
And we all lost a whole year.
Yeah, that's true. Let's call this one WFA, Weapons Factory Alpha.
Nice.
All right, let's move on to number 5. Levi, why don't you start us off with your number 5?
Sure thing. My number 5 is not on anybody else's list, which is just crazy. He's a blue hero, Kanan Jarrus, 10 HP. His cost is 1013. His die is 1 ranged, 2 melee, 1 focus, 1 disrupt, 1 resource, and a blank. His card says, before you take an action, you may resolve one of this die. Cool. And the little quote is, there's a lot more at stake than you realize. And that's Freddie Prinze Jr., right? This is an amazing card. It's 1013. Like, what? It's, obviously like the pair up was Qui-Gon, right? Qui-Gon Kanan.
It was a big one.
Just absolutely nuts. I definitely got frog stomped by Waldo running this deck. And I've seen, you just see it all the time. I mean, the fact that this pairs so well with Force Misdirection, he was just so sneaky and just a cool character. He's great for Blue Hero.
For sure. Yeah. He was hard to deal with. Like he wasn't the threat, it was his big buddy, but he enabled so much that it was really hard to let him just do all that the whole game. He was hard to deal with.
You just said something. Even if you don't go with Qui-Gon, like 13 for this guy elite for his ability is great.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even think about that with force misdirection, where you could focus up to whatever side you wanted, then misdirect them.
Yep, exactly. And it's what made it hit this. Honestly, that combo was so crippling.
Yeah,
It was
he had a gun and a stick. It
Yeah.
was, what do you need? What do you want?
That's really good. Yeah, that's awesome. He's kind of like, it's not really the same thing, but it's kind of like a Django-y, an original Django kind of thing, where they have like this trickery that they can do. They always got to be thinking about, like where Django got to activate after you activated or whatever, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kind of a, like I said, not exactly the same, but kind of a similar, like just a mind games type thing when you're playing against it.
Maz Kanata too, you know, just the fact that you just get to auto do a thing that is kind of that your opponent just can't do anything about.
Right.
Yeah,
like,
cool
I
card.
guess that's gonna happen.
I know one of our fellow Wolfpack members, Jim, will be glad you shout outed Kanan Jarrus here because he's the Blue Hero aficionado. So.
Oh yeah, he is. Did he play Qui-Gon Kanan?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean he's probably tried every Blue Hero combo you could think of as far as two wide, but yeah, he was definitely on that Qui-Gon train for sure with Kanan. But
right,
yeah, cool card, love it. All right, my number 5, I believe, is the so Holdout Blaster from Awakenings. Clearly, kind of set the bar for a really high quality 2-cost guns upgrade. And then when this one got released, it was kind of like, oh man, they are really juicing up this archetype with some density here. So that is the X8 Night Sniper. It is a 2-cost legendary upgrade weapon. The sides are 1 ranged, 3 ranged for $1. 2 plus 2 ranged, disrupt, resource, and a blank. It has ambush, and it has an action. Spend 1 resource to turn this die to any side. So kind of expensive, but you know, again, back in those days when stuff was broken and all this nonsense was going on with all the ambushing, this obviously gave it basically gave you 4 holdout blasters, so to speak. You know, just a 2-cost ambush thing you could try to exploit with the whatever the hell you were doing at that time. But you know, 3 for $1 isn't a joke, regardless of you know, what kind of environment you're in. So 50% damage on there, and also if you had the extra money laying around to turn it to whatever you wanted. At that time, that like, I don't know how to describe that, like the built-in guaranteed autofocus sort of thing was not. That was kind of like a new ability on a card. So pretty strong card for its time. And since it was neutral, I feel like I remember this card being like $30 or $40 at the time because everybody wanted it because it was a neutral card and a legendary.
Yeah, neutral legendaries. Yeah, this card got a lot of play, and like it was real heavy with the Ray shenanigans and all that stupid shit, but it still worked really well in any aggro gun deck.
Yeah,
and,
just with shenanigans aside, it's just a good gun. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you know, and I forgot all the time. I'd be sitting across the table and I'd look across and I'd be like, okay, well, he's got all these pluses and no money, or he's got $1 but no cards for rerolls. I'm going to claim, and then spends $1, turns it to the 1 black, and I'm like, no, I forgot. Yeah, that's good. That's a good card.
And I also see here on the DB it says the new Greedo's Blaster uses the parallel die.
Yeah, but that's from Eternal Conflict, which I haven't. That's
is that the other set of people that are doing that?
People, yeah,
gotcha. It's hard to keep up with the two groups.
Right.
Totally.
All right, who's left? Casey?
Yep.
Number 5?
Yep. My number 5 is a red support neutral. It is Tech Team, which we've already talked about. Before you play a support, you may exhaust this support to decrease its cost by 1. It got reprinted in Convergence, so it's absolutely still a thing. It's a staple of any vehicle support deck. It binds, you know. I mean, it was pretty cool to play this, then spend it to play the other one, and then still get out a 2-costed
vehicle. So
good times. Yeah, good card. I was surprised that you picked Ralliate over this one, but I love Ralliate, the frenetic nature of it, and the higher end of the $2 if it's played at the right time.
This is definitely the more stable choice of those two.
Right.
But yeah, we kind of, like you said, we kind of maybe stole some steam away from this talking about in the Rally Aid segment, but there isn't really much that needs to be said beyond what you said. Just obviously a good card.
They're still around with the renewed hope meta. People still rocking Tech Team.
Mm-hmm. I like both the artworks on it. I like them both.
Yeah. Same. I'm cool with either of them. The artist on the original is Alejandro Mirabal, so maybe you can get a hold of him and get that original print for you, Casey.
Yeah, see what you can do about
in your office.
It can happen.
Yeah, Tech Team. I think I know I kind of say this a lot, but it would have been a shame to not mention it, just based on the impact it's had. From kitchen table all the way to the top tables of competitive play. So, good pick. Glad we featured it here.
Thanks.
All right, let's move on to number 4. On to number 4. Casey, do you have a number 4 for us?
I do, but this time I don't get to talk this round. Mine's higher on someone else's list. Number 1.
Funny enough, mine is also higher on someone else's list. So I think we're kind of getting our comeuppance here for skipping Levi.
This is Levi's round.
How the turns have tabled. Okay, well, number 4, right?
Yeah, number 4.
All right, my number 4. My number 4 is a gray neutral and the introduction to an entire mechanic the game would adopt. It's partnership. Neutral general common. Event cost is 0. It reads, activate one of your characters and one of your supports. Then you may spend 1 resource to take an additional action. This is piloting in a card, right? And with ambush, if you pay the $1, which the decision point's really nice, right? Because you roll really good, and you're like, and I'm gonna go ahead and resolve that. This is just sort of an introduction to a architectural mechanic that the game, even in its state now is adopted, and it's vital. And there's not much to say because you'd be saying the same thing about piloting.
But we haven't had a chance to talk about piloting and what it does, how important it is.
Well, I mean, to activate a character and a support at the same time,
right,
is massive, especially with ambush. I mean, the ability to, do whatever you want. It's pretty sweet. Yeah,
giving you the option to do that after you see the roll, like you said, is pretty awesome. That's a really cool thing. For some reason, I really overlooked this card now that I'm seeing it again. I mean, that is a really strong ability in that era, Yeah, for sure. You could chain it into so many things. It is super strong and somehow always a bit of a surprise. Yeah. Also, HERA's face in this card looks really weird. I don't really like that at all. But
are you talking shit about David Auden Nash?
Yeah, sorry, David Auden Nash, but we will not be commissioning your.
It's not your.
Nah, he phoned this one in.
He's got other good ones though. This one's just not.
He's the most renowned Destiny artist there is, except for partnership.
She looks a little busted.
Yeah, she's drunk. Chopper must have bashed her a little bit on his fly in there. Our partnership was number 4, so let's see if more than one of us can talk for number 3. All right, my number 3 is a character that saw a ton of play, so much so that they had to eventually errata the card text. That is CIENA, the Adept Pilot. She is a 9 health, 8 points for a single die, 11 points for elite, 1 gun, +2 gun, 1 disrupt, $, blank. Love to see those $2 sides. And then she has an action, spend 2 resources to ready a vehicle. So at the time, there was no such thing as a power action. So, you could do this, spend 2 resources to ready a vehicle as many times as you wanted, or you could afford to at that time. So obviously that was a little exploitable and something they had to change eventually. So, if you look it up on the DB, it does say power action in that slot. But, similar to Rookie Pilot, Sienna is 8 points for a 3-wide vehicle deck with an insane
Huge.
ability.
Absolutely. Eight points.
Yeah.
So
with an
good.
insane ability. So,
Right.
I could be wrong about this. I just feel like characters like this at that time, initially, like the way that people thought about Destiny wasn't really wrapping your head around this sort of exploiting this sort of thing. More so, I feel like, at least for myself, you're just kind of honed in on the 2-wide, 15-15 or whatever it is, 17-13 build. So, didn't really catch on for me until a little bit later when I got more involved competitively and, hanging out at the store with you guys and seeing more people do stuff and kind of opening your mind to different possibilities. But clearly a great card. And I don't think if there's any other balance on her or anything. I don't think there was.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
But yeah. And also she has the, if I could just gloat for a second, my best regional finish was using her. So kind of has a little.
Oh, with
What
what?
was the team?
What'd you do?
It was at Milwaukee. It was Snoke, Sienna Ree, and I played Balatique. So it was just a rainbow villain support deck.
Milwaukee.
I think I sat down across from you and you beat me with it. It was
yeah.
I think we mirrored, but you had the newer variant, which was like more gun focused.
Yeah. I
And,
think you were also on Rebel Trader and I was playing Balatique.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That was a shame that we did have to play. I think that was like round 4 or something we had to play. Yeah,
we both were like doing really well.
Yeah.
Of course, we sat across from each other.
It's inevitable. Something's gonna. At least we didn't get to have to play round 1. I've had that happen before.
Oh yeah.
At a big event, but yeah, Sienna Ree, the Adept pilot. It's my number 3.
Do you have anything to say about her?
No, you rocked her. I just hated her. Hated sitting across from her.
She was on the short list of getting cut from my list here. She's amazing. She was always the target, I think. And like, because when Thrawn was left, Thrawn isn't that great by himself, but hopefully she's helped generate the money and all that other stuff. She was the target. Mm-hmm. So that was what I always seemed to find, was that she'd go pretty quick.
Yeah, that was what was so great about that 3-wide support deck that you and I played at that regional, because you have Elite Snoke out there, but then you also have Sienna Ree. And so many people want to kill Sienna Ree because of her ability. Mm-hmm. But then they're leaving Snoke alone. So you're like, well, okay. You're okay either way, I guess, with that, really. If they want to go for Snoke, that's fine, because you're going to be able to reset your vehicle. But it definitely, as we all know, characters that have some sort of high impact ability, besides just, good dice, put you in a weird spot of target decision priority.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
Levi, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is lower on very justifiably lower on my list than it is y'all's.
Oh, okay. Man, you're having a run on this one, Levi. Good run here.
Yeah.
Good skips, yeah.
I get to chill.
That's right. All right, well, in that case, Casey, what's your number 3?
My number 3 was higher on Levi's list, or lower on Levi's list. It's a yellow event, 0 costed. It's truce, neutral. Each player, or it's ambush. Each player gains a resource. And I mean, what can you say? It's still legal. They reprinted it. It's a staple. I think it's, a hard trade to give away the $1 to your friend or to your opponent anyway. But with the ambush, letting you do what you needed to do at that time. I loved it for when you didn't have any money, but you had that piece of removal in your hand and they didn't think you did. And they re-rolled and got what they wanted. And then you truced and removed it. It was like, always felt real good. Obviously getting out a vehicle or a weapon when you need it. But yeah, great card.
Yeah. To your point, Levi, this was your number 7 on your list.
Yeah, totally. I think it's a super fair card. It still remains fair. It's saying that a card is worth, this card is worth an action and $1, but then you're paying, you're giving your opponent $1. It's just a neat little balance there. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, pretty simple, neutral. Everyone can use it, but not all decks want it. But the ones that do can really make use of it.
Yeah,
sure.
All right, number 3, Truce and Sienna Reed. Let's move on to top 2 here. Number 2. All right, made it to number 2. Casey, what do you have for number 2?
You and I both have the same number 2. So I'm gonna try to share our time. It's a Levi. It was higher. It was your last card. It was your number 3 as well. So I think we all think very highly of it. It's a
everybody does.
It's a blue neutral upgrade weapon, 2 costed. Can you guess? It's ancient lightsaber. A stick, a +3 stick, shield, $1, and a blank. And for an action, you can heal 2 damage from the attached character, then place this upgrade on the bottom of your deck. What can you say? I mean, everyone who's watching this video has paid $50 for this card online. It was legendary. Obviously, it was definitely something that you went hunting for. You had to have it. You needed to.
Yeah.
And if you were playing a blue stick character, it was in your deck. I mean, there was no question. It was always there. And that +3 side, when it hit, was big side. So I'll pass it on to you, bud.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to even know where to start to talk about it, just because of its legacy and renown at that time in the community. It's just this was the card. It just had that kind of allure about it to where, like you said, you just wanted to have it, and when you saw it in play and you got to use it, you're like, oh man, it's definitely worth the $50 because when you get to roll out that die and use it, and then you can heal 2 after the fact. I mean, that's just so good.
They're not canceling this game for 2 years. I am definitely getting an ancient lightsaber.
Get my money's worth. Yeah. And
I do see also that it's Ki Adimundi's lightsaber is the parallel die, so that's pretty cool. Whatever that other set is.
The key thing, though, I think, was that it went back in your deck.
Yeah.
And it was kind of an anti-mill card, right?
Yeah.
If you played it and timed it right, you could keep yourself alive from the mill, but potentially.
It gave you an out. It gave you someone an out, at least, to not die.
Something.
Yeah. I forgot about that. That was some crazy mind games of sequencing there against the mill when you had it on the board, because they're like, are they going to claim and I can put it on the bottom or whatever, and then I don't die? So, but yeah, it's just, and Fantasy Flight, no ill will against how they designed the cards, but couldn't they have just made this like not neutral so it wasn't $60 or $50? Like, make it a hero or a villain card so not everyone needs it, just some people need it.
Yeah, I think this should be a hero card.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, man, speed, any blue neutral in particular, but
speed and lightsaber,
speed and lightsaber.
Well, I think they showed a lot of restraint, because it doesn't have redeploy.
Well, in the initial design, it was probably ambush redeploy for $1.
Right.
Well, we got to tone this back a little bit.
Ray really, works with this.
That 3 side was black.
Well, yeah, not. I think anyone who's sat against him has felt the frustration of knowing that 2 heal is coming at any point when you're that close away from killing the character, and then they heal and then they maybe play a force illusion, and you're just like, well, I'm 2 rounds behind, back to square one. So, but yeah, great card, obviously. Levi, what do you got for number 2?
Oh, well, my number 2 is my number 2, and it is not on either one of your lists, for what I can only assume is for moral reason. It's Sabine Wren, legendary, the legend. This girl's got a brand. She's an explosive expert. She's character. Spectre, points 1520 to be errated to 1621, I think. 11 health. Her sides are 2 gun, 3 gun, 3 disrupt for $1, as if you didn't need another smack in the face. 1 shield, $1 and a blank. And it says, before you activate this character, you may play a weapon from your discard pile on her, decreasing its cost by 1 if it has the word thermal in its title, which no one gave a shit about. All right. There's a lot to talk about, but again, if you are like one of the 7 people watching this because you really want to watch a top 10 on Empire at War from a game that got canceled,
Right.
you know who this is. You have strong feelings. I actually never played. I'd like played Sabine once, and I do also have a moral problem with her. I not a moral. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how the hell they couldn't have foreseen that she was going to dominate and. Pulling cards from the discard pile is already nuts. And the fact that she could partner initially with Ezra, because Blue Hero's no joke, because you got second chance, you got all kinds of stuff.
Yellow hero.
I'm sorry, not
yellow
blue. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, yellow hero. Thanks. I don't know, it's just nuts. Her sides are nuts with the 3.
What was its key? What was her key? The thing that changed her? You didn't mention it.
Oh. Well, when they balanced her, you couldn't have Ezra anymore, which invited calling in favors, which we should pull up. Even though, again, all we're doing is naming a trauma.
Well, sometimes just talking about it helps heal.
That's true. Calling in favors was a plot, a 4-costed plot, which tucks in nicely with solo Sabine as. I believe Bobby Sapphire built. He I think is known for this deck. Mm-hmm. It says before you play an event that costs 3 or more, you may exhaust this plot to decrease its cost by 1 or 2 if you have 1 character in play. So yeah, okay.
Hyperspace.
Yeah, she could just one-shot you, and you could do nothing about it.
This was when Second Chance with the what was it? The ammo belt.
Yeah.
Where you could bring back the Second Chance. It was infinite, and then you had
good call.
But I mean, the Second Chance costed money. That costed $3. You didn't get it cheaper because of the calling in favors, but the calling in favors allowed you to have. You were spending, you were buying $3 events for $1 with her, while looping weapons, ambushing, overwriting.
And then jump to light speed.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So you change your weapon, give her ambush, do your stupid shit. Like, what was it? Don't tell me the odds or
never tell me the odds.
Yeah. 3 costed
all in, all that stuff.
And then jump and be like, haha. Do it all again the next round because God, it was just traumatizing. It was.
Yeah, and at that time, I forgot about. I guess kind of to go in that whole package was the running interference support.
Oh my God,
I forgot about that.
I forgot about it because that's right. Because running interference is it Empire at War or did it come out?
Yeah, so I can read it real quick. It's an Empire at War 0-cost support, yellow hero. After you take an action, you may exhaust this support to choose an opponent. I choose you. That opponent cannot take the same action that you just took on their next turn.
That was so brutal. I think that was actually maybe that with hyperspace was like the biggest, negative player experience that there was. Like, I just hit you with all these guns.
You can't resolve anything, and then I'll jump.
Anything.
This is her, right? Like this is the card that was. This is the This is the thing that like everyone was like, oh, hard timeout on Definitely. What are we talking about?
Well, Poe Maz was a big problem.
She's way worse though. I think she's way worse. Not way worse, but like you could remove Poe's dice.
I think what the problem, you're right. I think the problem was like here you're talking about a character that's meant to be paired who plays solo with 9 hit points, is it?
11
hit points, which is, but that's all you have is 11 hit points, and you were so devastating that you
were still winning.
I mean, you're a glass cannon, but you were cheating. Like,
cheating. Hard. I don't know. It's pretty innovative. It's not ethical, but it's legal.
I mean, you're leaning on the rules. You're not playing the game the way it was meant to be played.
He's talking to you, Bobby. Talking to Bobby.
If Sapphire. I remember correctly, Bobby Sapphire, that. When this deck, when he kind of like brought it to the surface, was the World Championship when he made it to the finals against Edwin Chen. But he was running Elite, Sabine, and Ezra at the time, but he lost because Edwin was playing Kylo. So it was mono yellow against Kylo, and then Edwin eventually beat him in the finals. But if it was any other matchup, I'm pretty sure he probably wins because the guaranteed yellow hit from Kylo. But and after that, I feel like I could be misremembering, but that was kind of like when everyone's like, "Oh man," because they kind of kept it maybe a little in house until the tournament,
Right.
But so hats off to the Hyperloops, obviously, as they always do or did in their time in the game. But they could have just, if they would have just said, if the card would have said, instead of weapon, you may play a thermal upgrade from your discard pile. Because that's what they wanted it to be, I'm assuming, to get those thermal paints and whatever that was back. Like, so why would
damage, right? Like, that's what thermal paint did. It was like damage.
There's thermal detonator and thermal paint, right? There's two thermal.
Yeah, maybe thermal paint was later, but you know what I'm saying? Like, if it's that's clearly the theme they were going for,
right?
Yeah. So I don't know, like, and like you said, Levi, they didn't see the writing on the wall here with just something nonsensical happening eventually at some point with this ability.
Is calling in favors, was that Legacies?
No.
Way of the Force.
Okay, so that's when it, like, I mean, obviously I think she was really bad with Ezra, right? I mean, like, that was a thing, but when she didn't hit hard when she came out, like, she didn't.
Wait, you think that she was stronger solo than with Ezra?
Yeah.
You do?
I do, yeah. Playing 3 costed events for $1 at
that's
changed the game for her. She was able to do all that stuff, and she was so much faster because with Ezra it was a slower game. She had to like kind of build up the money. Ezra would roll out, resolve. It wasn't like this shotgun to the face and then I'm out of the room because you can't. I'm warping away or whatever. And especially with that I think that's what changed it for her was the $1 3 costed events,
Yeah, that's not really fair. They shouldn't be doing that.
I love calling in favors. I think that is a sweet ass plot. I mean,
it's a cool plot.
It's cool. Levi and I had a really neat Dooku trader deck with that, and it was super fun.
Oh yeah.
But God, like,
yeah, not meant to be exploited in that kind of way. Oh yeah, thermal paint they included that in Empire at War with her. Now that I look it up, so it's like,
but it was like $1, right? Or it was damage.
It was $2, and it's an upgrade. It says after you activate attached character, force an opponent to choose and deal 1 damage to one of their characters. Then you may discard this upgrade to deal 1 damage to that character. But
so it was like 2 damage, and then for $1 she gets it back.
I think maybe the problem was they didn't really have the subtypes at that time. Because, like, think about Ezra. He just has character on his card. It doesn't say Spectre Jedi. So similar to thermal paint, it doesn't say upgrade -thermal weapon. It just says upgrade weapon. So maybe they kind of pigeonholed them into just putting it there. They dug their own grave, I guess. So
it was also kind of a necessary lesson for them. I mean, I think that she did. I mean, like, had she not happened, I don't think that FFG would have been able to identify like how the game can be exploited to such an extent. So necessary evil.
I hear you. Good call. Well, Sabine Wren, the explosives expert, has definitely made this discussion a bit more explosive, if I do say so myself. And we are now going to go off the air because they just canceled our show for that terrible, terrible joke. So let's move on to number 1. All right, on to number 1. So, Casey, your number 1 was actually Levi's number 10 and was also my number 4.
Yeesh. Yes. Yeah. So I gotta say, this is probably my this card to me is like what I loved about Destiny. I think like I've probably said this in every podcast I have one of these moments, but this card just speaks Destiny to me, and it's the Chance Cube. It's a 0 cost neutral upgrade equipment. It's got $1, $2, $3 blank blank blank. Before you activate attached character, return this upgrade to your hand unless you spend $1. And I don't know, the whole thing about Destiny that I think made it special was building a deck and having cards, but then throwing variants in with die. And anytime that variance got taken away, I thought the game suffered. But this card, this die was gambling. Straight up 10, like, here is Destiny, the core concept of Destiny. You get to play this for free, but if you want to roll it, it costs you $1, and you have 50% chance, to make really it's like a 40% chance to make money. But I loved it. God, it was so fun to roll 2 of these out, get lucky, hit $6, or focus into them, generating that money. Maybe the character is about to die, so you don't spend the $1, pull it back in your hand, put it on his partner. Tons of ways to play this. Again, I think it was kind of an anti-milk card. But God, I love this card. Love it. Wish it was still around. Think it should be.
Well, it sort of is, right? Because Watto is chance cube on a stick to a certain capacity.
And I think that's also partly why I love Watto so much, is the gamble that he brings to the game.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you love Watto, and you love paying the $1 to roll the die. It makes sense. This is your number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all those points you mentioned, there's way more play to this card than at first glance. Like you mentioned, the decision point of bouncing it back to your hand when you want to, and things like that. That's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, also Watto is on the flavor text, so it's got to be linked together there.
Yeah. I mean, he rolled one in the stupid prequels, right?
There you go. See.
So.
But yeah, great card. I mean, the $3 sign on that. I mean, that is just.
Yeah, there wasn't a $3 side. I don't know. Is there any other card that has a $3
Maybe
side?
a big support or something, but I have no idea.
I don't know. Might be a singular side.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously all 3 of us had it on our top 10. I think most people probably would if you asked around. So, it's definitely in the conversation at the least.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. The old chance cube. We'll let fate decide, says Watto. All right, so on to number 1. So this was my number 1 and Levi's number 1. So
I think my number 4 or 3.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're number 4. That's right. So for those of you that are watching, maybe you've kind of figured out what this card is at our number 1, but is how can I put this nicely? It's a character that had quite the impact on the competitive scene.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit. Mm-hmm. And that is the Chiss Master Strategist Thrawn. Mithron Eurodo, if I'm saying that correctly.
Yeah, I think right.
12 points, or 12 health, 14 points for single, 17 points for elite, legendary rarity. He actually has the subtitle of leader now, according to the DB. But he has a 1 focus, 2 focus, 1 disrupt, 1 shield, a $2 side for some reason, and a blank. And then it says, after you activate this character, you may choose a number. Then look at an opponent's hand and discard a card from it that costs the chosen number. That is a lot of action there.
Yeah.
A lot of action. I mean, even without the card text, a die that has a $2 side and a 2 focus on it by itself is already insane to begin with. And then let alone if you know the metagame and you can make an educated guess onto what you want to take out of there, forget it. Forget it. Levi, you got anything?
You're saying it, and aside from the metagame, can you guys hear me? Okay, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Aside from the metagame, you get hand knowledge. I mean, it's totally nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. No penalty peak. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. This is my favorite. Definitely my favorite card. In Empire Wars, my most anticipated card. And Casey, I don't know if you remember this. The last box we picked up for Empire War, right? I think we went like 5 boxes deep or something crazy like that. And the last pack of the last box was our second Thrawn die.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And it was the most amazing moment. It was like getting a scratcher and
that's a life-changing moment right there. If I do say so myself.
We'd open a box together. I'd open a pack. You'd open a pack.
Yeah.
Open a pack, and we would kind of track what our legendaries were. We knew how many, and it's our 5th, whatever. And we were like, we're not going to get it.
Last pack. That's awesome.
You know, I guess this has the same questions, right? Like moral questions in terms of like Sabine cheating. This guy, once he was next to Unkar, was immediately like, FFG's like, nope.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he would inevitably land with Snoke.
Yeah.
Being possibly,
Well,
maybe the all-time most powerful deck in Destiny.
But like that's not Thrawn's fault. That was Snoke's fault. I mean, they eroded Snoke 3 times, I think, and like finally we're able to drag him down. So I mean, you're right. I mean, he was super powerful, right? I mean, the ultimate support, hand knowledge. With my card Feint earlier, this was built for him.
Yeah,
being able to hit 2 cards on activation is really powerful. The focus and the $2. I mean, he's a madman.
And
this was like this card felt heavier when you held it. It was just
right.
Most of the time too. I mean, if you call 1, 0, or 2, you're probably going to get something.
Right.
I mean,
you're a blue hero. I don't want to see that ancient or that 4 solution,
right?
Or that Shoto or whatever.
I think the only time you completely whiff on it is when you activate it and you're hammered and you say 7 or 8 or something, and they don't have an 8 coster in their hand. I think that's the only time you really miss any.
How cool was it to like pull out, hit like a 1 because you want to get removal away, and you see his hand, you remove that 1 piece of removal, and you're like, good luck.
Yeah, I have all the focus and money in the world, and you're screwed.
Right.
Yeah. So speaking of the dominance, Levi, that you mentioned of Thrawn Snoke, for anyone that doesn't know, 2018. So this was Way of the Force-ish, Snoke-ish era. The Chicago Regional, which I don't believe you guys were at, unfortunately, at Pastimes that tournament. 7 out of the top 8 decks were Thrawn Snoke decks. And so I don't know what that speaks for the rest of the room, but there are probably 60 or 70 people there, give or take. But when 7 out of the 8 people that make the top 8 are playing the same 2 characters, I mean, that's not good, obviously. So that was clearly the deck. It was basically the only deck you could play if you wanted to win at that tournament, more or less. When you think about it,
it's like I remember that I think when we first met. The fair game guys like Steve and Waldo was the Politic tournament. It was the last one. And it was, everyone was Pomaz. And the top 4 were Pomazes, 3 Pomazes, so it's very similar. I think the game kind of always kind of devolved into that, or at least in its early phase. One thing I think Destiny really did find its legs on is in the next, the white set, the legacy set and stuff, where really there was a much better, a lot more diversity in decks. Like there really was that rock, paper, scissors kind of element of running up against your nemesis. But yeah, Thrawn Unkar, and then Thrawn Snoke.
So was Unkar originally 13 points? Is that the deal?
Yeah.
Oh,
they eroded him first
to make 14.
And then
Thrawn Unkar was amazing.
God. Do you think about this because Unkar has that plus $2 side, right?
And he wants to any 3 sides. If he can add up to 3, he plucks the card. And so with Thrawn, you're looking at their hand,
right?
You see, he's got 3, 4 costed cards in his hand,
right?
I'm gonna Unkar this, or plot it, or.
Yeah, talk about a fun game, huh? You can't do anything for about 3 rounds. I'm going to buy you out at the 4th round.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I mean, that was maybe the quickest errata ever. I wonder if it is. I actually think it was the quickest.
As far as changing Unkar once Thrawn came out, and that.
That happened very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the game we were all on fire. Like just to talk about where we all were when this was going on. Like Spirit of Rebellion was broken as hell, and then Empire came out and it fixed some things and then really doubled down on others, and they never really addressed Rey and her ambushing, and then Thrawn shows up and it was just gross, and Snoke, we'll talk about Snoke.
That's a conversation for another day. Obviously he's going to be mentioned a little bit later, but So yeah, guys, that was our top 10 Empire at War. If you stuck through the entire video here, you know, we appreciate you watching, obviously, but hopefully on the screen I can put the all three of our lists up here. You know, as before, please leave a comment with anything honorable mentions or cards that you think are in your top 10, and we'll try to maybe mention you know, someone who deserves a little shout out on the next video.
Yeah, we forgot that.
Yeah, we did forget that this time.
Long.
Well, when you don't record
comments.
when you don't record a podcast for a long time, you kind of forget the routine, I guess. But yeah, so sorry if anyone left a comment on the last video. Good call, Casey. We forgot to do that. Yeah,
we'll try next time.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, this has been who am I? I'm Chris. That's Levi.
Casey.
Up there. That's Casey. That's the Brothers Dim.
Pretty awesome, man. Thanks for putting all this together, Chris. Always a pleasure.
Oh yeah, it's fun to glad to do this. So it's been fun. You guys watching, everyone at home, thanks, appreciate it. Stay safe.
Yes.
We'll see you next time for Legacies.